Our hero Iruma awakes to the waking call of his demonic alarm clock. Looking out on the dreaded scenery outside his window, he proclaims that today will be another great day. He greets his grandpa, who is the headmaster of the demon school Babbles and Opera, a security demon in the guise of a butler. They feed him breakfast and also his gluttonous feeder ring with some delicious grandpa magical power.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Outside the gates, his friends Az and Clara wait for him to go to school together. They are both obsessed with him and show great affection towards him, going so far to basically fight over who will carry his bag. But Clara quickly wins by saying please, as Iruma cannot refuse when someone asks him for something. What a pushover. On their way to school, the trio draws a lot of attention, but in a good way. For anyone who didn't watch Season 1 or our recap of Season 1, now it's time to listen up as we are given a summary of what happened. Basically, his stupid parents sold him off to the great demon Sullivan, who adopted him as his own grandson. He then started going to the demon school Babbles in the Netherworld, a school for demons, and since Iruma is the only human and demons eat humans, he has to try very hard to cover up that fact. Luckily for him, he quickly made friends, and after many troubles and adventures was still able to keep his cover. Some dirty demons threw away trash in a cave, and the janitors must now clean up after them, but Iruma and his friends come in and help them. But Naberius evilly looks over them, and in class tells human-eating demons to behave like good little boys and girls. Kinda counterproductive for demons, I guess, but they are Japanese demons, so of course they have manners. He also reminds them of the end of the terminus tests. In the next class, they practice transformation magic. Iruma is called up to demonstrate, and he uses his demon ring to successfully perform the spell. Everyone liked that.
Oh yeah. Damn.
On their way to the cafeteria, a dark shadow emerges out of Iruma's ring. It's the thing that sucked everyone off before. I'm talking about their magical power. Luckily, this time it's not hungry and it suddenly spoke. Both parties are confused and they retreat to a prep room. The two assume it's the ring's will manifesting and now developing speech. It's quite the talkative spirit. I immediately goes on a rant on how Irumi is not using him correctly and teaches him more about magic and how to use him. He must use imagination. To practice, Irumi transforms the spirit form of the ring into something more tangible. He then names himself Alacrid, or Ali for short. They practice some more, and we have a montage of Iruma changing his clothes. Like most protagonists of this type, he lacks originality. Ali challenges him to try something he would never ever wear. And just as he does so, Ameri bursts into the room to see him in a frilly dress. Even trying to explain, he just makes things worse. In order to clear the misunderstanding, the two realize that Iruma needs to rank up even more because as he ranks up, so does Ali evolve. And that becomes his new goal, and he is super excited until the next morning he wakes up with the realization that Irumi still doesn't understand everything and sees him as a weirdo who dresses up and talks to inanimate objects. Ameri wakes up from a dream where Iruma confesses his ambitions of being an idle magical girl. At breakfast, she still thinks of her turmoil, and her father guesses it's about Iruma. At that, she dashes out of the room as he climbs out of the transmission in a nice reference that he will never let her date Iruma. The past events even hinder her duties as the student council president. Again dashing out, she realizes after some thought that she should talk to him again and give him another chance to explain himself. But at that time, Iruma is pressed by Crocell to put on a frilly dress. She's being constantly asked who the mysterious Demdoll was that played with her on the stage. She needs at least a photo. She forces the dress on him, but as he resists, he knocks her down by accident and falls on top of her. Ameri, of course, witnesses this. She immediately drags him to the student council office. Surprisingly, she doesn't go bonkers on him, but enlists him and his two friends into battlers. And Iruma also joins, involuntarily of course, the student council in order for Irumi to whip him into shape, and probably to keep an eye on him. The next morning, Iruma is faced with his new life as a member of the student council. They have plenty of work and training to go through before school starts, and today they also monitor a student in their evil cycle. Probably just puberty and stuff. His grandpa comes to visit him with a wagon full of goodies, but Ameri is having none of that spoiling and turns the headmaster away to go cry like a denied maiden. She then tells Iruma to undress. Straightforward gal. But she didn't mean it like that. Today is the day he reads her his world's manga, and those clothes are not appropriate. As they go through the volume of the manga for the day, Iruma notices how much more relaxed Irumi is. She's basically on full alert when she acts as the president. At that moment, the handle of her teacup breaks. A bad omen. The next day basically repeats, but Iruma is way more into his new role and does everything with much more vigor. Except for the food part. He is a big old foodie after all.
No! God, please, no! No!
Iruma then gets summoned to prep room number 3 by the broadcasting system, but we see that something bad is about to happen. She enters the room and sees a kneeling figure in a cloak on the floor. She rushes to help them, but is sprayed in the face by a perfume of sorts that knocks her out. Just as her friends start to wonder where she is, a member of the broadcast battler arrives to tell them they didn't send out any announcements. Everyone rushes to the room where she was supposed to be to find her lying on the floor. They wake her up, but she acts totally different than usual, all embarrassed and girly-like. Now who would like that? The halls are now blessed by the dainty flower that Iruma has become. The rest of the student council tries their hardest to keep up with the loss of their absolute president, but it drains them completely. She was probably hit by a psychological spell that is like a mess of tangled hair and must resolve itself, so they go their usual routine to try to snap her back to it. But it's quite hard to do that, and the job effectively with her treating everyone so nicely. Like a fluffy pillow and a warm bed in the cold morning, it's hard to resist. She's unbelievably slow, but also unbelievably cute. After their day of patrols, they return to the office where they discover the suspect in this case. A Latino playboy demon, Ronov Romier. Romy for short is the president of the disciplinary battler and has always been after the Ameri spot. And now is his perfect chance. With a horrendous singing scene, one that is so bad you can't take your eyes off it, he declares war on the student council. As he is shown the way out, he simply ignores them and goes straight for Ameri and declares the dissolution election, a one-on-one battle, a challenge that cannot be denied, but instead of it being a brawl, it's more democratic. He even gets cocky enough to touch her fiery hair and invites her to be his secretary in the new student council. Cheeky bugger. But Iruma steps in and slaps his slimy hand away, shocking everybody and flattering Ameri. He calls him rude for touching a girl's hair without permission. I'm a guy and I stand by his words. Plus, girls are scary and who knows what they will do to you if you do something they don't like. Romy slumps down in gloom as a man lectured him. He really is full of himself and oversensitive. In a fit, he then flees out of the office, making others clean up his mess. The next day, Romy is already making his political moves and tries to win the demon's favor and votes. He even uses his bloodline ability, charisma. I believe the name speaks for itself, but I would be wrong as it only draws their attention and nothing else. He makes unrealistic promises whilst not promising anything. He quickly loses the crowd as expected, but by promising even a little more fun than what the current student council allows, he gets the demon's approval. Ameri is also doing her best to reach the students but is lacking. The rest of the student council tries her best to support her, and Iruma calls out to his friends Az and Clara, and the two are thrilled to help their beloved Irumichi. Ameri then appears behind Iruma as she wants to speak with him. She brings him to the common room and makes him wait like a good little puppy while she gets ready. Ali then appears out of the ring, teasing Iruma that he ignored him for quite some time. Then he proceeds to explain that the spell on her is almost undone, and that there is just one more thread, one more emotion that is stuck from undoing the spell completely. That last thread will need a trigger of some sorts. Just as he mentions that the doors open and Ameri steps out in her usual clothes. Is she back to her old self?